Hello and welcome to a new episode of Banter. My name is Timo and I'm here today with...
Kristaps.
And Nico.
And first some information. There is a strike again on the 9th of December in Amsterdam and unions are organizing buses for free to Amsterdam. So if you don't have anything else to do, come join the strike for our universities.
Yep, and it's organized by the unions, but it's open to everyone. It's open to students as well, regardless of whether you're a member of a union. And the sign-ups for the free transport close on the 1st of December.
Yes. So, today we're going to discuss some Groningen street network and the changes happening to it in the coming years.
What I am aware of is that, the municipality wants to slow down about 50 streets to 30 kilometers an hour. And then, of course, like Eikelaan, modal filter, through...
Yes, but one of the things... So the idea was, obviously, like the basic principle when changing speed limits should be, and it usually is, a street is built for a certain speed. So if you want to change the speed limit, if you actually want to change drivers' behavior, you also need to change the physical street.
Yeah, true.
And now Groningen has basically said that they're accelerating the change of speed limits, but because of that, they don't have time to change the physical infrastructure, which I have kind of conflicting opinions about. I think speed limits, it's not good to have a speed limit that's too fast, but it's better to have a speed limit that's actually kind of enforced.
Yeah.
Sure, but
I don't see
you need to start somewhere. Like I think I don't really care. Like if you want to lower the speed limit, you can't just wait on the infrastructure. At some point, you just need to do it.
No, but the plan was to do it in a couple of years, and now they want to do it in like half of that. It's not like a long time scale thing, but just saying, "Oh, we don't have time to change it," and then just slapping a new speed limit sign on it. I don't think it's kind of a false sense of safety.
Okay, but they are gonna change at some point, right?
Well.
Like they're just slapping.
Well, it's difficult to say because once you change the speed limit, then they could just kind of say, "Well, we've done that now."
Yeah. Okay. True. Yeah.
And I don't see the point if you're gonna actually redo the road in like 1.5 years' time. Why change the speed limit now? Just do it then, when the infrastructure matches the speed limit.
Yeah. Okay. The infrastructure is different from the sign, and the sign gives you an expectation of the car is going to go slow. But the cars, of course, don't follow rules and therefore go faster than the sign because the infrastructure lets them. Yeah, okay, I can see that. But at some point, I still kind of keep with my argument that it's better to just lower the speed limit now instead of waiting 2 more years, 4 more years, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to do the redesign now.
Of course, yeah, but I can get it. That's not doable. I saw the place at Groningen at Jumbo. That's starting to look pretty nice.
That's
finished.
Oh well, they still have a couple of days or like 2 weeks of work to do, but
yeah. So that is phase A because for context, that redevelopment, it's planned until I think March 2026. That's phase A. Then phase B will be, I think just north of it, and then phase C I think will be the Kwinkerplein.
Yeah,
which
they're gonna add a tree there.
Yeah, a few trees. Put yellow tiles.
Like just one tree.
One singular tree.
I think they're just gonna add one tree.
No, I looked at the visualizations and it looks much nicer.
I still don't get why they chose red for the square because everything else is yellow. So this square, you always have this line between the square and the roads. Should have just doing yellow.
On the Grote Markt?
Yeah, Grote Markt is red, and all the streets around it are yellow. So this ugly. Well, at the Jumbo they've done pretty well, but like next at the Martinikerk, I think it's like patches of red, yellow, and asphalt, which of course they're gonna improve. But why not do it in yellow? Why do it in red?
I guess there's the idea of kind of separating, saying that this is a different space.
Yeah, womp womp. Like, you can see that you can also just make like a gray barrier or something, like a gray stone, and then separate it in that way. I think that would have look nicer. Or what? Yeah,
but I think the real elephant in the room is the traffic organization in Grote Markt, specifically with regard to bicycles, because of course the municipality was like, well, you're supposed to just use these 2 north-south routes, right? No diagonal crossings. Well, guess what's happening? Yeah.
They tried to stop it, right? They tried to put up barriers
Yeah,
at some point.
Yeah.
They basically what they did is they put up a sign that said, "Please do not cycle diagonally,"
Yeah.
and everyone just looked at the sign and went,
Yeah, I mean, there have been a few days when like there's police present and they do some
They
sort of
do?
like raids. Sometimes, not too often, but
Whoa.
like, of course, it's at the end of the day counterproductive. You know, like
Yeah. It's like I learned.
It's the same with the speed limit thing. Make the infrastructure in a way so that people will like induce behavior with infrastructure.
right.
If you build infrastructure that allows for you to just cross diagonally, people will do that.
Yeah, this the thing with induced behavior. It's the same. Like just one more lane, bro. you
Yeah,
know?
it's just one more lane. How would that work on grote markt? But okay. No, but that's-
Induced behaviors.
Yeah,
Like,
you induce behaviors.
yeah.
You just make the grote markt bigger. Or add. I guess you could add like a really big thing in the middle, so that people need to like it becomes a roundabout. But
Oh, that'd be cool. Well, I don't. Well,
No, just one massive like the roundabout around the Arc de Triomphe. Just do that in the
yeah, yeah.
like
Just
10
one big-
lanes,
Yeah.
one big bike.
10 bike lanes.
Oh wow.
But of course, Grote Markt is the gathering space in the city for protests and such. So
Christmas market coming up.
Christmas market, yeah. So
Oh,
I don't know.
that's true. Has
Like-
it already opened?
I think
Next weekend.
Well, when recording this, it will open. I think in a couple days.
And it's supposed to open on Friday, the 28th? Or
I don't know.
I don't
think
know.
so. It looks almost done. But also with the streets, like at the hook. What's the street called? Not Peperstraat, but
Oh, that's Oosterstraat.
Oosterstraat.
Yeah.
And then you have the one next to that, the one at Palace.
Yeah, that is Gelkingestraat.
Gelkingerstraat. They are both one way, two different directions, and that's supposedly also for bikes.
oh, is it?
Yeah,
But
officially.
once again,
But
it
like,
doesn't
yeah.
really happen. However, very important to note, the municipality does plan to redevelop Oosterstraat and Gelkingestraat. So they approved the plans this year in summer, and they will start construction in spring next year. They will actually make two-way cycling routes. There's going to be new trees, pedestrian priority zones, guidelines, and accent lighting. Like
Trees
fine-
on that street?
Yeah, how do you fit all of that?
Yeah, well,
Two-way cycling, and because like currently they're not really like cars don't drive through, but you still have like trucks driving into them to like service the. Will that just block the whole bike lanes?
No, so I'm looking at the visualizations now, and the trees do fit. Like the street just looks more wide. Like
The render trees fit.
the rendered trees fit, I guess, but
That looks very wide.
it does look wide. I was also thinking, wow, is Oosterstraat really that wide?
Okay,
I think that might
Oosterstraat
be
is
the-
that
yeah.
wide. True.
And-
Oosterstraat, but the Gelder.
Gelkingestraat seems
Gelkingerstraat. No.
that visualization just seems to have like two trees,
Yeah,
whereas the
okay.
Oosterstraat one has a few more.
I guess
And it is really wide close to the Jumbo, like close to the Zuiderdiep.
Yeah,
True,
But then it
yeah.
gets really narrow. At
Yeah.
the
but
northern
they also have
end.
a bunch of bars. But yeah, it does get pretty wide. And the hook, it gets less wide. That's when
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets smallest.
But this is exciting news. Finally, there's going to be like proper two-way cycling. Valkingestraat is hell, for example, when it comes to like cycling when it's busy with pedestrians and
yeah,
such.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the vibe.
No, the vibe is nice.
Vibe-based urbanism.
No.
but,
It's a very nice vibe, I must say, but you really got to watch out. However, I think you having to watch out for people. It's not bad. Like it really makes you a better cyclist. You can transfer those skills to anywhere else. I think if you survive Groningen cycling, then you're pretty well prepared for almost any place. Or maybe not Amsterdam, but
No, but you have to be mad to cycle in the center of Amsterdam.
Nah, it's fun. Tourism slalom is my favorite sport. It's
But in real slalom, when sometimes you hit the pole.
yeah, may happen. Then I may have hit an old American. Like, who cares? Okay.
It is what it is. Oh yeah, hang on. I still have a point about the streets in general. I think Groningen really needs to think about how much green, not just trees, but also like bushes and
shrubs.
green ground covering.
Exactly.
Because there's very little green ground covering, and I mean, trees do help with, especially like the urban heat island effect. But green ground covering is a massive bonus for that, and especially like the streets. So the one that leads kind of on the when you're on the Jumbo at the Grote Markt, and then you go west from there,
Yeah,
there's like
Yeah.
that's a really wide street,
towards Groningen.
and
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
literally just kind of all paved over, or it's like it's just bricks, a couple of trees in the center, I think, and that's it.
True.
Yeah,
And
you
I
could
think
have
those kinds of places you can really have kind of urban greenery.
you could have made those cozier with like a small like tree with some grass under it. Like you could have made it a cozier street then, but then you wouldn't have let cars go there, and the cars kind of need to go there.
Yeah, well, I guess, but you only need enough space for
One
basically,
car, yeah,
one car
It's
and
one
one
way.
bike to squeeze past on the side.
yeah, and also bike parking seems to not be a problem there. They don't have any bikes on the street because what I kind of want to do as a counterpoint is like grass takes up more space than just one tree. Like you can plop down a tree anywhere. Well, grass needs at least some space, or it looks really depressing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this
So-
tiny square.
Yeah, like you can make a really tiny square of grass, but it's really depressing. But you still need somewhere to like put down bikes. Like new Oude Ebbingenstraat. Like you can't really fit grass there because you need place for people to walk, to park their bike, and to bike and drive a car.
Yeah, I mean, many of the streets are really narrow. And for
Yeah.
example, I mean, we've had the tram discussion many times before, and at one point someone suggested putting a tram on the Oude Kijk in het Jaatstraat,
Yeah.
like just west of the Academy building. And I just said, where?
Where?
Like, try and have a tram and a bike squeezing past and enough. I
No.
mean, as is, there isn't enough space for pedestrians on the sides. So,
Exactly.
yeah, what do you do? And, yeah, that is a problem in many places. And I also get that you have places like the Grote Markt and the Vismarkt where, like, they're squares. You need space for the events that are organized there.
With Outkijk in Jatstraat, because what you see also at the Jumbo now at Grote Markt is that you remove the sidewalk, right? Well, they don't remove it, but they make it all same level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, would that help at Outkijk in Jatstraat, or would you then just get more conflicts between bikes and pedestrians?
I think you'd get more conflict.
Yeah,
'cause
right.
It's a massive through route.
Yeah, you get like these groups of 5 students walking side by side, blocking the whole street,
Yeah.
while there's a truck parked somewhere and 2 bikes are trying to meet.
Yeah, because there isn't really like a north-south route through the city centre from the, like, for example, if you're going to the Academy building,
You
that
need
is
to go
pretty-
there.
yeah, that is your route. You have to go there, so you also need to like give some space for through traffic for bikes.
Yeah, so then making it all same level, I mean, I think just create more conflict. So then is what we have now the best situation for Outkijk in Jatstraat?
Probably.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. Well, if you remove the cars, maybe. But then again, the trucks
Yeah, it doesn't
go
really
there for a
change much.
reason. No, it changes a lot. Like these trucks take up a lot of space.
Oh no, yeah, but I don't think you can remove them
No.
realistically.
Mm.
You can make them smaller, I guess, but still.
Yeah.
The picnic and the PostNL trucks.
Yeah. That is a development in the Netherlands is sort of inching towards having like these more compact
I would have loved if they
delivery
get
vehicles.
like if they did it quicker.
Yeah,
Because they're
fair.
doing it very slow. Like the picnic and the PostNL have had these trucks for now 10 years, like at least
Oh.
7 years, I think.
Okay.
I maybe
And I have to
I'm
say, I
maybe
mean-
lying, but I feel like at least 5 years.
I think this is also like a problem of leave it to the markets, because PostNL is like a massive organization. So it's not a big problem for them to have like a warehouse somewhere on the edge of town where
Yeah.
you have a massive truck arriving from somewhere else in the Netherlands and then they transfer it onto a small van.
Yeah.
But for like a smaller operation, that's just not manageable. So what you'd really need, I think, is basically leave it to the market to get the goods to the edge of town, and then have some sort of public,
Nationalized-
reasonably priced kind of van
Service.
service that takes all the stuff the rest of the way into the city centre.
Also called PostNL. No.
Pretty much.
but yeah. And they could use those smaller trucks. Or just force them. But yeah, I feel like it's going
Yeah,
too
because
slow.
then you can basically just say, we don't care how you get them into the city centre, but this is your maximum size. If you're not happy with it, we provide a service to get it the last
The
couple
last-
of kilometers.
last
But
miles.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you could still keep the price artificially low because it would be PostNL. So, or like a
yeah, or even not even
yeah.
artificially low, but just kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
Pay for what you're getting and nothing more.
Yeah.
This actually goes perfectly into another hot take I wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
make. that let's say historical preservation in cities is sometimes just like gatekeeping. Of course it's important to maintain some sort of historical character and form, but I feel like when you cling on too hard to the past, you I think just block like the natural development which you had described.
I don't agree. Well,
hang on, we had a conversation about a week ago where we were talking about the train line through Lund. And what you were saying is you think because the problem is that there isn't space to widen it, and you were saying the old buildings or some of the old buildings in the way should be knocked down.
Yes, but I just want one building to be knocked down because I think the other ones are worth more because they're old. But again, the one I wanted to knock down was the one that was actually on the list of preservation. I think I get your point, I guess, and I would support it in the sense that some buildings are made just in the way for progress. But I can't help but think of like Le Corbusier or like Moses, and just where you get the point where it's just like, let's knock down the city center for some roads.
Yeah, no.
When at the end of the day, the old and historical buildings are kind of the most beautiful things we have in our cities, and that this gatekeeping is there for a reason. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's all just like how. Also with the rail line, like how. That is very good for us, but at the same time, you could make the same argument for a highway in the city center, which that's also very good for us. And we should knock it down. And I feel like you're really quickly like just kind of removing stuff because you want to build stuff that like 5 years later we'll realize is shit. And like, oh, this building was actually really nice and looked nice. But I get your point of like, oh, there's a big villa here. We want to put down 5 apartments. And it's like, oh no, but this villa is old. So we can't put these 5 apartments here, which then makes it very much like a clear example of gatekeeping.
Right. Yeah, I think it's about striking this very, very delicate balance. This feels like a very HGP conversation right now, but
striking the
this
balance.
Also feels like you don't really have a strong opinion.
No, as in like
striking a very delicate balance doesn't sound like a very hot take.
No.
Or I mean, to be honest, in politics it does nowadays. But
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
No, what I mean is that, like, I'll just say this: you can't maintain like one thing forever, right? You have to have some sort of development. But once again, the delicateness is where it comes in. I am obviously against like tearing down like a whole historical city center just for another highway, right? I think that's just unacceptable. So.
But then, instead of just doing it in one big swoop, I'll just do it slowly and just tear down one old building after another in like a 10-year span. Then again, 10 years is also very short. But yeah, I see your argument, but I don't agree. But then again, I also sometimes want projects to go through. Then there's an old building. It's like, okay, but like, do we really need to keep this old building? What I kind of want to say is like, at the end of like, why... I'll support vibe-based urbanism any day, but it's kind of who decides on the vibe, which of course is like the question you always ask, oh, the people should decide on everything, blah, blah. But like, if you're just like, oh, the vibe is better, oh, we can cut down this old building because we're going to build something similar that's going to improve the vibe, and it just ends up being a white slab with 2 windows. It's kind of like, did it really improve the vibe? Sure, there's an espresso place downstairs, but like...
Yeah.
Yeah...
But I mean, I think that just comes generally down to the, like, who gets to decide stuff.
Yeah, and it's always going to be SPD students and a couple of consultants. That's always going to be, or architecture students.
Well, I mean, at least here in the Netherlands, you do have quite a culture of, like, citizen consultation, right? So I think that is important to have.
Of course, yeah. I guess that's what I'm arguing for. When you really need to take down a building, then I guess... consult with the people around it. But then again, what are you...
But hang on, no, because that's just leaving the door open for NIMBYism. Yeah. Like, I get consulting, but basically most people will be against any development in their own area.
Yeah.
At least when you
then make
the
a really
center.
good proposal that people will like. Something that looks like the building that stood there, or like a very nice building.
But usually, so if we're moving out to the city center and kind of suburbs.
Yeah, okay, but I don't have
respect for suburbians. This is where the real problem with...
Yes, but I don't have respect for suburbians. So this argument doesn't... like, this argument I feel can't stand in suburbia, of course, because there have all the NIMBYs.
Where did you used to live before you moved to your
On the
current
countryside,
apartment?
much better.
No,
much more
before you
respect-
moved to your current apartment.
Yeah, in Finkhuizen. But like Finkhuizen, I didn't have any respect for myself then either. I wouldn't like ask myself to have impact. Like, no, but like suburbia, all of the buildings are the year 80s, 70s, 60s. The worst time in urban planning, the worst time in architecture. Hot take, I guess. But so any change in that neighborhood will be an improvement. I guess
Do
the
you
point
also
is
include like brutalist structures in there?
Yeah. I may personally like brutalism, but I must be consistent with my argument here and say that I don't care about suburbanites.
Okay, no, yeah, I get that argument, but like, no, you said something along the lines of everything in the 80s, 70s, 60s was like the worst time for urban planning.
That was maybe slightly too hot of a take, but I'll kind of stand with that. Like most of the buildings there, most of them, like of course, I guess some very beautiful buildings have been built then, and there is a list of heritage buildings from then. I'll retract it. I'll retract it. But
That
like
was too hot to take.
Too hot of a take. Finkhuizen, but like most of the developments, like the larger neighborhood developments, kind of shit. I think adding anything to Finkhuizen is good, and whatever the NIMBY say.
I'll go for a hot take. I think a nice walkable city center should have if we're not talking about absolutely massive cities, should have maximum 4-story buildings, maybe 5.
4 is very low.
It is, but for a walkable environment, I think that is like the most comfortable. I think when you get to something like 6 or 7, it's still manageable, and for like really big cities, I'd say it's fine.
6, 7, 6, 7.
God.
Sorry.
Yeah, but when you go above that, I think it just becomes automatically non-walkable. Sort of, or not walkable, but it's like it's uncomfortable because
Hong Kong
they're
chimes in.
imposing, and the only way you make them not imposing is by making the street wider, which is uncomfortable.
Hong Kong wants to call. I don't know.
Right.
Well, never been. So
I mean,
can't say.
I've been there, and I think it's really interesting, but I think it's kind of constrained by what they have, and I'd still prefer. I mean, in Hong Kong, I prefer the areas on Hong Kong Island where the buildings are only like 7 stories high.
Mm. Well, I would argue for a hybrid approach. I mean, of course, like I absolutely do see the argument, that like massive buildings are intimidating, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I still don't think, they're like, oh, you must completely get rid of them, right? I think there should be a nice mix of low and high, because let's be real, like if a city is getting larger, then, having just 4-story buildings, if you don't want to spread out too much.
I mean, but what do you mean by getting larger? Like, if you think of, I mean, Groningen has what, 200 and something thousand residents?
Yeah, okay.
Which is not small exactly.
Well, I mean,
Groningen is basically just the city centre is like 2 or 3 stories, and then Utrecht is what, 4 stories maybe.
I think Groningen also has some 5-story buildings. Well,
not many though. In the like
around
the old
Vismarkt,
parts.
Vismarkt. Most of those
maybe
no,
some of
4,
them
yeah,
there.
4 or 5.
Some of them
and
there.
Utrecht, I think, is maybe slightly higher.
But yet again, what I say, that's like an open space. And that's exactly the 4 or 5 what I was saying before. Like around certain open spaces, it sort of makes sense. And like the church towers around, the Martini Tower and the Akerk.
But Amsterdam, I don't feel scared when I'm in Amsterdam. Maybe you're different.
No, but what's Amsterdam? 6, 7.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was saying is that... Exactly what I was saying is I think that's sort of the maximum.
Okay, yeah, sure. I guess but Paris then?
To be honest, I think Parisian streets are kind of imposing. And all of them are pretty wide. And I think that's just...
No, not all of them are pretty...
No, what I mean by pretty wide is if you have a street which has like 1 lane per direction for cars in the middle and then parking and then a tree line and then...
Yeah, but most streets...
That is a wide street. Like it's not a pedestrian-oriented street. It's a car-oriented street. And making that pedestrian-oriented makes a really uncomfortably wide space in most cases unless you really green it properly.
Yeah, but I still think that the streets are not that wide mostly. But sure, they are wider than Groningen. Yeah, okay, I can get your argument. But I think the Parisian height is better qua like relating to just like having a big city where you need people
Yeah,
to
and I mean,
house
okay,
them.
Paris is like huge. If you
Yeah,
like the
but
region
also
as
more
well.
dense, just more effective.
Oh yeah, of course as well that. But yeah, but Paris has like what? Like the region has how many residents?
I don't know, a couple of million.
Well, more than a
No,
couple.
yeah,
no,
the
no, the
city, like,
region that
second largest in Europe.
France, like 15 million.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely massive. So in that case, I think, I mean, then I'd also make the argument against 15 million people cities. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of unsustainable in the way that like
What would be your limit for the maximum size of a city?
So, I wouldn't put a hard limit on the population. What I'd say is you should be able to get from the center of town to an edge of town, not the edge of town, but an edge of town in let's say 4
But
kilometers.
technically, Paris, Ile-de-France, is not Paris. It's just a conglomerate of a bunch of
Yeah,
cities.
it's
Like
Oh no,
there's
all
but
like,
it's
yeah.
all connected into one.
yeah, but
kind
also
of,
just like Tokyo. But then you would say that Tokyo is too big because you can't get from one side of the
Yes.
metropolitan region. Same with London
yeah,
and New York. I don't know. I also think always when I see those big numbers, I'm like, oh, intimidating. This city is like the same population as my whole country. But yeah, Paris is kind of cool.
Yeah, but Paris is like you have the about 100 square kilometers. Like it's about 10 by 10 kilometers, 2 million people. That's in terms of physical size. I don't think that's too problematic. Like it's not even that big. Like it's compared to Amsterdam or something. It's I don't know, probably about the same size. Maybe
Okay,
even
yeah, but now
smaller
you're talking about Amsterdam is tiny.
in physical size.
Yeah, Amsterdam is pretty tiny. Like you can bike across. Okay, then you have the suburbs still, but like
No, but yeah, but
compared
that's
to
what I mean.
Paris.
That's what I mean. If you just take Paris, like within the
ring,
boundaries, and
or-
compare
yeah.
it to the actual built-up area of Amsterdam,
I think still is like okay.
because
no.
you can get in Paris,
Um,
if you're in the very city center, you can get in 5 kilometers, whichever way you go to the edge. Which
Yeah, but I think if you compare Paris Central, just Paris, and Amsterdam, just Amsterdam, I think Amsterdam is like still smaller.
It is tiny.
Yeah,
Is
it
it?
is tiny. Yeah, Google it.
I mean, I'll check out on maps just
Yeah.
with the measure tool. So if I just, where should I put?
From the Dam to Bosbaan? Or
From the
no?
Dam to the edge of Amsterdam North is 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
If you go to where it ends in like Diemen, that's already 7 kilometers. Zuidost is over 10 kilometers. Around the Amstel Park, it's 4 kilometers, and you can just about get into like a green finger.
Okay,
through
but
there.
compare it with Paris then. Like do Notre Dame towards the highway just north of Montmartre.
Let's see.
Maybe I'm actually wrong. Oh, okay, that would be bad.
Yeah. So the Notre Dame, and then to
Highway north of Montmartre.
so I assume you mean like the kind of the ring road.
Yes, the ring road.
Yeah, that's exactly 5 kilometers. It's in the southwest, it's 6.5.
Okay, I was wrong. Okay.
Directly south, it's just under 4.
Okay, wow. I didn't expect it to actually be that small.
Yeah, Paris is really small because like
The core of Paris
The
itself.
core
the
of
core
Paris.
of Paris. Yeah,
Yeah.
Where
Where
you
no
get
one
into
lives.
the yeah, but I'd say the core of Paris, geographically speaking, in physical size, is fine.
Yeah, okay, but then the
'Cause then you
core
can-
isn't really the city anymore. That's,
No,
Yeah.
no, and this isn't a defense of Paris.
No.
It's more of a hypothetical kind
Yeah.
of. I think that's a good physical size, and yeah, build it slightly differently, and I'll be happy with the whole thing.
What we were talking about originally.
But you don't agree with my building height.
I guess I do at the
ideals,
end.
or-
I try to be more less boring than Kristaps with we need dynamic mix, but I guess I agree. It's good. Like we need a mix. But yeah, 7, 8 is kind of the max height, I guess.
So there's a lot of talk about having free public transportation, right?
Yeah.
But so I guess you could argue that if you have free ridership, then you starve the system of much needed revenue. So how about income-based fares?
Oh, okay. I actually like that.
Oh,
How do you base for kids? Are kids free?
I guess so, but like I mean,
Okay.
most riders are adults.
Sure, but you could, yeah. But it's the first like kind of attack point I can see. But like, other than that, I actually can't support it.
I wouldn't do fully income-based fares though, because I think the problem is if you make
Then rich
public
people would not
transport,
go.
yeah, if you make public transport really expensive for rich people, then they won't go, and they have the best opportunity to switch to something that's
Right,
much worse
not
for the
like, but
environment.
not like excessively expensive. It's just like still.
Yeah, I think at some point it just kind of turns into, cheaper for lower income people and then normal price, because at some point you don't want it to be too high. Like, it's not like a income based speed ticket.
I was about to mention the income-based
Yeah.
speed tickets.
Because that's like you're trying to get them to stop doing something. Here you want
Yeah.
them to do something, so then you would like them to have an incentive. So then just making it free for everyone could be a good incentive. But yeah, the revenue part is a good point.
No, but my, I guess, hot take about public transport pricing is, even as this would be a very non-left wing, or I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I think free public transport fundamentally is a bad idea.
Oh,
I think in some cases it does work.
No, I don't think. I think free
But-
public transport should.
Tell me
think-
more about it.
So my point is, if you have really cheap fares, it won't be. So it should be accessible to basically everyone.
Mm.
But if you have really cheap fares, it will discourage people riding like 2 stops. Because 2 stops is not something you're going to drive. It's something you're going to walk or cycle instead. And I'd rather have very cheap fares that encourage people to make short journeys by foot or by bike, but still cheap enough so that they can just, like, you know, it's not a problem. If they're actually traveling somewhere and they'd have to walk half an hour, then it's cheap enough that it's not a problem.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause I think that was the problem in Tallinn, right? When they did, they still have free public. That they saw a really big increase, but the increase they saw was from people from lower income. Instead of walking and biking, just kind of jumping on the bus. While the richer with the cars, which you wanted to get on the bus, still didn't really go. I get that part, and I also think it's a problem. But then it's also maybe more about how good is your walking bike infrastructure versus how good is the public transport.
Exactly.
Okay,
Like,
no,
if
but
it's
when
easier
I
to
have
use.
a season ticket, I will literally just, if I'm walking somewhere, I might just look at it. Oh, there's a bus in 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, okay. I just accept that. I think that's just a part of it, I guess. Then you maybe just need to have less frequent buses, but that's also bad. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't support less
That's-
frequency.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye. Yeah, I guess I have one hot take, and that's World War II was bad, and we should never have done it because there were a lot of old buildings that disappeared. Of course, also a lot of people died, but
Ooh.
I mean, wasn't Hitler bad? He bombed cities. That's
he-
probably
yeah.
the worst thing he did.